What's going on, guys? Good morning. Good morning. Today we're going to be doing a spit shading video. This is just going to be black ink, no color, so I don't want to make too long of a video. This is a Sailor Jerry design, classic panther snake battle. Going to be using PH Martin's Black Star high carb and a couple watercolor brushes. I recommend, if you're going to be painting flash regularly, go ahead and invest in high quality brushes, high quality inks, high quality paper. I started out using the cheap stuff. It's great for starting out because you're going to make tons of mistakes, and I still make mistakes. That's never going to go away. I think that's part of being an artist. But the more you invest in quality materials and tools, the more you will begin to notice an improvement in the quality of your own work, which, if you plan on selling your work, you want it to look of the highest quality, because that will help you sell it for the highest possible price. So that's something to think about whenever you're making something. You know, if you're just making it for yourself, then by all means just do whatever. But for me, even when I'm making something for myself, I treat it like someone else made it, or someone else is making it for me, you know, and I want it to be of the highest quality. And like I said about making mistakes, there's one right there. Too much black in the tongue. So now we're gonna have to troubleshoot and try and reel it back in some. And that is because I pre-wet the paper a little too much. There was still water sitting on top of the paper when I applied the ink, and it spread too far. Sometimes that's nice. You can get a real nice long fade with that, but it's easy to get out of control. And that's exactly what just happened here. So, you know, you can see I got a little bit of ink outside of the line. Like I said, these things will always be part of the experience of making art. And I think that's why a lot of people are so quick to jump to AI, because making mistakes it hurts too much for them. They can't handle that discomfort. So if the AI makes a mistake, at least they can just blame AI, you know. And I think one of the most important concepts that I'm realizing as I've been really pursuing art making, first of all, it's never going to come out quite the way you hope. There's so many moving parts, so many factors, even in the simplest piece. There's so much potential for something to go wrong. And because of that, I think a huge part of being an artist is simply becoming okay with uncertainty, with discomfort, with making a mistake and then having to fix it, with making something and suddenly it's not going according to plan at all. So you have to change, you have to, adapt. Adaptability, the willingness to continue even when it's uncomfortable, when you don't really know where it's going. I mean, making so much of making art is simply risk taking and hoping for the best. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but that's the point. Every single thing gives you an opportunity to learn, and the ones who are masters, in my opinion, simply put enough time in, made enough pieces to know which risks work out and which don't. And that's something that you can only find out through doing. And part of the reason why I study the older artists, the people that I consider masters, so extensively is because they have already gone through that process. And so by studying them, I can see what decisions they're making. I get to get an inside look into what they've learned over time. And it's not a direct, I do one piece from them and now I suddenly understand their way of thinking. It's more like whispers. And that's why I have to keep studying, because the only way to truly know what works and doesn't work is to just do it. Art making is not theoretical. There's theory in art. There's principles of art, sure. But at the end of the day, the only proof of that is in the application. And the artists who are afraid to apply that and to do that process of experimenting and finding out, in my opinion, they want to be seen as an artist, but they're not willing to do what it takes to truly be an artist. And that's a really hot take, and that's a really hot take from someone who's posting videos constantly, just studying other people's work. But I will say, you guys don't see what I do off camera. But I am understanding of the potential hypocrisy in what I just said, but it's just for food for thought. And if that makes you angry, if you're an artist and that makes you angry, allow that to be fuel for you. The other thing, especially when it comes to an art form like tattooing, regardless of what idea you may have been sold on tattooing, whether that's anybody can be a tattoo artist or there's no true right way to tattoo. Here's another hot take. That's all bullshit. That is all bullshit. In an art form like tattooing, where it is so much a craft and craftsmanship, there absolutely are things that will and won't work over the course of time. You can try, you can experiment. That's part of the art form and pushing an art form. It's kind of like, I mean, it's kind of like telling someone there's no right way to be a mechanic. There's no right way to imagine an architect who all they care about is making the weirdest, most original building they can. But they paid no attention to the foundation of the building, the structure of the building, the physics of the building. So yeah, it might look cool. The idea might be cool. But as soon as you step in the building and you fall through the floor, all of a sudden the building's not what you thought it was. And that's why, for me, it's so important to study these people who have been tattooing for 20, 30 plus years, people who were painting flash, who are known for being the forefathers and mothers of this, because they've learned and experienced firsthand what actually works in this craft. And that is first and foremost what I care about. I want to be able to provide quality first and foremost, and then the ideas will come. I have no shortage of good ideas, but my execution of those ideas is questionable where I'm at right now. That's just the reality of where I'm at. And so, knowing that, I'm not going to run away from it and feel afraid that that I'm not good enough. No, the only way to overcome that, to become the artist that I want to be, is by doing this. Nothing is too mundane, nothing is too ordinary to study. Everything adds onto itself. It applies back onto itself. So like if you're worried about an original idea, but you can't execute someone else's idea perfectly as a tattoo, as a drawing, in this field, I'll say, then you're worried about the wrong shit. And that's just how I feel about it. The chances of someone wanting an original tattoo of yours over a non-original but very well executed tattoo are slim. If you think that you can get away with bad craftsmanship in a tattoo because you believe that your idea is original, you're going to face a lot of hurdles. When it comes to something like this, it's just like any other trade. no one cares how original the electrician is. They want to make sure that the work is going to be done well. And then, no one cares about how good a carpenter, how unique a carpenter's ideas are until they can see that you can build a basic box perfectly or install a new window perfectly, or whatever field of carpentry you're in, or whatever. If you can't build a simple thing of wooden steps, how are they going to trust you to build an intricate, beautiful deck? They're not. They're going to go find somebody else. So the other thing is, by doing things like this, okay, this is a simple Panther. It's very old school. A lot of people don't really like that anymore. It's not in style. I don't care. First of all, I actually have quite a few people who like this stuff. So I'm not really worried about trends. Second of all, like I just said, if I can't do this, how could I have the confidence in myself to do something even more extravagant, even more intricate, complex, original? And look, the reason I'm saying this is because I experienced that. I've had to go backwards because I went so far forward without having any real fundamentals that I started hitting a wall. And not only did I start hitting a wall, I started feeling like a fraud. I was hiding behind my ideas. I was hiding my lack of skill behind my style, my originality. But I realized that it's fundamentals first, style comes later. And for me as well, another reason I study the older artists, and I call them old masters, but you don't have to. No one, that's not a rule. But that's how people refer to the old greats of oil painting, so why not refer to the greats of tattooing the same way? I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, a fine arts student is required to study art history. So why would an upcoming tattooer think that you don't have to know tattoo history as part of your training to do this as a career? That makes no sense to me, that there are so many people who don't see the importance of being well versed in tattoo history. To me, that is such an important part of the schooling. And that's one of the reasons why I study this stuff. So every single day, I study this every single day. And why I invest in books and all that kind of stuff. I just messed up pretty bad because I'm getting a little bit, I guess, worked up in my rant here. But it just doesn't make any sense to me that there are so many people who spend all this time trying to follow the trends. Sorry, I thought someone was at my door. It must be the mail. Trying to follow trends or find their voice. And they don't have a lick of knowledge about the field that they're in, the history of this field that they're in. I don't understand that at all. You know, like star athletes, they have their own sort of idols from the past. They've had to study. A good coach makes his players learn from the past and watch videos. You know, like, I can't imagine how many old school fight videos Mike Tyson had to watch during his training to see why these folks before him were considered great fighters and how he can apply that to his life. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel. You don't have to start from scratch. It's the same thing with the tools that I use. This isn't about convenience. This isn't about what's most affordable. This is entirely about doing things in such a way that has basically been proven time and time again to create success for you as an artist. This is what all of these successful artists before us have done. But we've been conditioned to believe that the goal is blowing up on the internet. The goal is coming up with something original that can blow up on the internet because we've equated that to success. So if that is your idea of success, then that is just your idea of success. That's not mine. That's not mine at all. To me, that is got no soul to it. I'm interested in the essence of it, tapping into the essence of it. And that's not for everybody. So that's my lane that I'm in. I'm sure there's plenty of other people in that same lane, and I see y'all. But it's a little bit interesting to me. Just, you know, because I'm new to this as well. I've only been doing this for a little over a year and a half. I started my apprenticeship in April of 2024, the end of April 2024. And I started painting Flash December of 2024. Now, a lot of people might think that's sort of backwards, You know, like if you're really true to this, like you say you are, you would have been painting Flash from the beginning. You would have been painting Flash before you even got into this field. Well, to be honest, my goal was actually oil painting. I walked into tattooing because I had to do something in the arts. But tattooing was not my first pick. And that's just the reality of it. I did this because I knew that I could, and I knew that it was a career choice for me that was better than bartending and working in restaurants. So that's what I chose. And because I chose it, it's my responsibility now to be a part of this fully and to do my part correctly. And I don't want to hear no bullshit about, well, there's no correct way to do your part. There's no correct way. If you're an artist and you're not drawing or painting or making art, then you're not an artist. That's just the reality of it. And if you're tattooing, but you're only focused on the money or just making whatever, and you don't care about the history, you're not trying to really learn anything or improve, I don't really know what you are. You're just here. And yeah, there's always going to be a place for those people. But I can't be that kind of person. Any field that I'm in, I'm going to give it 100% in all facets of whatever that field is. When I was a bartender, I was looking at the history of bartending, the correct terms for bartending, the correct ways to do things, research, study, experimentation, study, practice, honing in, even something so simple as just making a drink. But that's just how I am. To me, there's always more to it. To me, how you approach anything you do is less about the thing itself and more about what kind of person you are, what kind of person you want to become. I want to be a person that is a master of this. That's my goal. I don't want to be better than anybody. I don't care about competing with anybody else. But I do care about learning what it takes to be a master tattooer, to be a master artist. And every single master artist that I've met or studied did the work and learned from other master artists and knows their history in any field. To me, that is a great indication of someone who does this just to do this and someone who does this with the pursuit of mastery. And that's just that. That's a hot take. I don't care. In fact, I'm actually really tired of this whole rhetoric of this can be for anybody. Anybody can do this. Becoming an artist is one of the most difficult skills any person can acquire. That's why as an artist you come across so many people that say, well, I can't do that for nothing. I wish I could do that. So why would you think that just because you can do a little something, that you're exempt from the trials and tribulations that it takes to really do this. Basically, the standards have gotten a little bit confused. Sure, anybody can make art. That is true. Just like anybody can cook. Just like anybody can sing. Anybody can do anything. You literally can do anything. But to become someone who is fluent and to pursue mastery in something to the point that there is no doubt about it, that's a whole nother ball game. That's different. That requires a whole different mindset, a whole different approach, a different level of work ethic. And that's why I said so many people want to appear as an artist, which is easy. If you just draw stuff, you're an artist, because anyone can be an artist. But a professional artist, a master artist, that's not the same thing. And there's a reason why certain things end up in museums and some things don't. There's a reason why some things become platinum selling records and some don't. And unfortunately, in our society, a lot of it has to do with just simply exposure and money and trends, and that will always be a thing. But someone like Van Gogh didn't just only paint his loose flowers and that's just what I do. I'm just an artist. He studied extensively. His early work does not look like his later work. Picasso didn't just make those ugly portraits all his life, and because he made those all his life, he got known for it. Those were deliberate choices because he had gone through so many years of mastery that now he knew what can and can't be done, what risks can be taken. You don't just get to skip all that and just start making stuff and thinking that it's going to work out for you. That is just not how that works. Everything comes at a cost. And trust me, when it comes to something like being an artist, shortcuts will cost you a lot. And that's coming from someone who spent the first few years of my career as an artist trying to do shortcuts. And that is one of the reasons why I've had to go backwards. I go to figure drawing classes as often as I can. Because I have no real understanding of the figure. Anytime I drew a figure, I just found a picture to copy. That's not the same thing as knowing how to draw people. That's not the same thing as understanding the foundations of drawing. And because of that, you can only go so far. In fact, without your fundamentals intact, your execution of your own ideas will fall short. So if you're so focused on your style and your ideas that you're ignoring fundamentals, there is going to be a point where you will hit a ceiling. Trust me. And it may not be a financial ceiling. Your work may resonate with people. You may go viral and you may be able to sell that style for the rest of your life, and it will always keep you afloat, right? But if that's all you were doing it for, then you're not a real artist. If you're just hoping to make something that's going to help you take off and then you never really have to work again, and you can just keep doing the same thing, you're not a real artist. You're in it for the wrong reasons. And what will happen is that very thing that took you so far will become the cage that you sit in. Or you will end up in that cage and never get to go where you want to go. That's a hard reality for a lot of people. And so many people are quick to blame the economy, to blame the state of art and tattoo world right now. But ask yourself, are you really improving? Are you really putting in the work to improve? No? Then shut up. I'm sorry, that's harsh. But you don't get to have an opinion on the outer stuff when you're not doing your part. Like I said earlier, part of what art making teaches us is to sit with discomfort, to sit with the unknown, and the opportunity to consistently pursue something, to consistently move forward and see what we can do, what we can create. If all you can do is that one thing, even if you can do it very well, if that's all you can do, me personally, I'm not impressed. I feel bad for you. You're in a cage and you don't even know it. For an example of where I'm at mentally, this is what I'm working on today, right? This is what I worked on the other day. Okay, pretty similar, but not quite. Pretty different, actually. This one I decided to this is for a friend. I got no real references for this. I didn't look up baseball player tattoos. I really pushed myself with this one, making something that I had to actually sketch and try and think about things. Then you come over here. This is what I was working on yesterday. I don't care about how recognizable my style is right now. That's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not at that point in my career. And you know what? For all the people who think that they are at that point in their career where that's all that really matters, I dare you to make something that looks nothing like your style. You don't have to post it. It's just for you. But if you feel stuck and you don't know what to make or what style that you could do to make it not look like you or whatever, or you're so resistant to even trying that, then you've got a lot of work to do. And if you're a beginner and you're resistant to that, then you're really digging yourself into a hole that you don't even realize. If you're focused on becoming known for a certain style and you're just starting out, kind of like me, trust me, you can only take that so far. And anything that comes to you fast, is probably going to leave just as fast. So if you've convinced yourself that you need to only do this because that's what's bringing in the bucks, or you think that's what will bring in the bucks, you're in for an interesting awakening. Especially because you've now strayed away from what the true purpose of art making is, and you've turned it into an exercise for consumerism. And don't get me wrong, I plan on selling. Everything I make is for sale. But my intentions are always in the pursuit of mastery over money. When you master it, the money will come. That's just how it is. All right. I didn't expect this video to go on as long as it did, actually. I've just been really ranting. I probably could have gotten this done in like half the time. But I guess I had a lot to say today, and that was more what my focus was. So if you found this video interesting, appalling, or anything else, I'd love to hear your thoughts. And I hope everyone has a wonderful day, and I'll see y'all soon. I'm going to get this finished up on my own.